Namaste, John and Julia. Welcome and thank you for being able to join me in this setting, just to hear about you, about the travel to Barcelona, to your workshop in June here. How you're doing?
We're doing
really good. We're recently back from Central and South America. And so we have arrived back to the beginning of spring. However, nature's taken a step backwards and given us a little taste of winter. So we've had some beautiful snowfall, but today the sun is actually shining and now the snow is melting. So we've come back to be able to replenish, restore, recharge for the summer season about to happen.
Yeah, we're really happy to be home. It's great to travel for 4 months, but at the same time, it's a great feeling when you can just settle down.
Yeah, right. And then you start traveling again. You are doing some workshops around Europe.
Yeah, actually this
year we're going to do quite a few European
busy.
ones. Quite a few in Spain, actually. So we're going to be doing Barcelona. We're also going to be doing where are we going?
We're going to go to Mallorca. We're going to start now soon from Warsaw, and then we're going also to Tenerife. So, it's time to speak Spanish, basically. We're going to be in Sardia, and then Sardinia, we're going to make something that is like family gathering, yoga family gathering. So, because we really feel that this is a time for people to connect and to understand that how much we need one another. And I think also our workshops, in a sense, become even more sensible in terms of what to bring, how to connect. And I think it's not the time anymore for just individual work, but it's a time for a collective to transform together.
Definitely. And I'm looking forward to your connection here in Barcelona. When was the last time you were here? You were together here last time you were here, not?
You and I came, it was quite an interesting adventure. We actually rode on the Harley along with Andy. So we had 2 bikes and we drove all the way from England to Barcelona. That was in 2016. So it was an adventure to get to Barcelona. And then we had a great time teaching at Yoga One.
Yeah, and I was making my first yoga teaching steps. So it's always incredible and very exciting to come to the same spot as a different person.
Right.
I can't remember exactly, but I would imagine that Sandra was with us on that tour. So Sandra and I were the main teachers, and Julia was then under the wing of Sandra, which was beautiful. And so, as Julia says, it's nice to be adding to the work that Sandra's been doing with you, but also to come back as a new person, a different person, more experience. Since then, 6 years, a lot has happened in 6 years, especially since we've been traveling to Central and South America, which has added quite a flavor to our presentation.
And in what sense it's going to be, has changed the teachings, and what are the intentions, both from Julia and you, to teach here in Barcelona?
I think, first of all, as I said, we really had a taste that in South America, people really understood that transforming just as an individual is not easy. And especially we humans are very social beings. And when we collectively we connect through the same state, through the same intention, and put it in a space, the transformation happening much faster. Of course, it's not only South America. There's many other teachings that we met during these years that brought it to us. But that's why the counted method became even more significant, because you understand when that people are at the same vibration, they wire in the same frequency, then they really become collective. In that point, they have a possibility to become one. But if everyone is thinking different things and going through different modes and thoughts and so on, and different programs, because we all have programs, then it's really hard really to connect to the source, because we don't have the unified field. So this is one of the most important things.
So in a way, it's easier to connect making the connection as you felt in South America, and it's a little bit harder here in Europe.
In a sense, there's a lot of, there's a lot of gatherings, a lot of, it's not connected to so much to yoga, but there is a lot of ceremonies when the people are gathering together and they spend time. And it doesn't have to be a very significant, but there is some kind of form. It can be with a cacao, with the music, with breathing, but something that really brings us together. And of course, it was never foreign for us, but it's more creates a certain sensibility, what you want to bring to people more, what kind of a state you want them to experience. So it's, in a sense, it's very subtle, but it is changed.
For me, the word that's rising out of the conversation is remember. So the Central America, South America experiences, they're reminding us how far we've distanced ourselves from our natural selves, our natural way of life. Parallel to that is that yoga is a reminder. So yoga is a reminder how we unlearn the programs of society that goes out of balance. And so in anticipation of our conversation, I was thinking, who's my first teacher? And of course you go straight to your parents, but then I went even further back to when I was lying in the bassinet, in the cot. And I go, actually, my body's my first teacher.
Right.
And this is the vehicle that we're going to be working through, is that our body is our first teacher. Within the body is the breath, the prana, the life force, and within that is the consciousness, so that we arrive in this world with amazing awareness, amazing attention, and amazing inquiry. And so yoga is to remember that. And what Julia was sharing about Central America is that by coming together with ceremony, it's a reminder that we have individuated so much, and that the idea of a yoga workshop, weekend workshop, is to honor that celebration of a collective coming together, because we've distanced ourselves so far. It's so difficult to connect to that first teacher, your body, yourself, your soul, your breath. And so we share the experience with others collectively. And as Julia says, there's an entrainment. There's a coherence that comes between everybody. And so we then start to collectively help one another. It's also two-way. It's between Julia and I as the presenters or the holders of the space, and you are included in that, to our group. We hold a space for us all to collectively come together to remember what it was to share life together. And so I think this is the real message that Julia and I are going to be bringing this weekend in June, is that we really want to remember what it was to be a community, not to be an individual, but also to learn that we have to have our individual sovereignty. We have to have our individual power to be able to say, yes, this is how I want to live.
Yeah, beautiful.
I think also after this not easy couple of years, gathering together can be the biggest present for all of us. Because before it was something so accessible that we didn't feel that it's so needed. And that's why maybe we wanted really to protect our individuality and just be with ourselves. But I think that people really spend some time alone now in front of their computers, in front of their iPads and phones and so on. And this is a great moment of understanding that we really are social beings and we are community. And we not only need to connect with our body, but we also need to connect through our heart. And our heart also have a vibration. We are in the vibration. And it just, the moments that we spend together really changing the life.
Yes, and one of the themes that you present in this workshop, it's the connection between sound and prana.
The prana is the energy. It's the energy in our manifested world. Yeah, so it's something that already exists. But how to connect to the prana? Of course, we're breathing. But when we're breathing, we're creating a sound. Unless our breathing is very shallow, but we're still creating a sound even if we not hear it. It's there. So the sound is, for me, is like a vehicle, how to get to the prana or how to connect to it in another way. Because your energy, and there's energy somewhere there, but for example, when you invoke, when you sing the mantra, you invoked it through the sound. What the baby does when the baby needs help, it gives a sound. So everything is connected through the vibration and through the sound. This is how would I put it in the words. So the sound is very important. It actually transforms our inner space. It transforms our cellular level. It takes us out from the very dark spaces to very light spaces. And that's why it is very important in these moments, in these days, to invoke and sing and connect and do it and invoke the light spirit through us to connect to the light energy. I'm not really a esoterical person, let's say. I feel that I'm quite standing strongly on my feet, maybe sometimes even too strong. But what I really realized that mantra, creating mantra, that invoking the mantra is changing your inner space. It does. There's no doubt about that. So that's why working with the body and mantra started to be really important elements. Why? Because they really work. It's the only reason. Yes,
and at the end of the day, sound is some kind of vibration coming from the body, and it's quite something. It's just on learning and remembering, as you say, John, and the process to go to that source may change, even if the goal could be the same. I met you before you met Julia, and one of the things that you wrote on the description as you met is to explore and to, I don't remember quite the exact words, how you phrase it, but that's one of the things that you've been doing as your energies gathered together, is to explore. And in what exploration and you've been, has it changed your teachings, John, in a way?
It's a beautiful balance. Since you've got young Ganesha sitting there beside you, think of his dad, Shiva. And so Shiva embodies not just Shiva, but Shiva Shakti. And so for me, teaching just as a man, singularly, is very much just the male. Now, this is a paradox. Shiva does represent consciousness, and Shakti represents the energy and matter. And just teaching by myself wouldn't just be consciousness. The paradox is that teaching as a male, it's very masculine and it becomes very material. So it's very sun-orientated. And so there was a period in my journey as a yogi practitioner and a yogi teacher, or sharing the principles, that the asana and the series and the number of series were really, really like paramount. They were so important.
Right.
My journey with Julia, what's happened is there's been much more of a softening, in the sense that even when I look back to my very first teacher, Derek Island, when I saw him as a Shiva, he also looked like a puma, like a wild cat, the way he moved. That was the feminine quality. So even within Derek, he was such an incredible physique, I could see that there was a femininity in the way that he moved. That's retrospective looking. And so the balance is really important. Now, if we add the concept that Shiva is the consciousness and Shakti is energy and matter, then there's a huge shift that's happening at the moment from that patriarchal world paradigm that we're living in. There's a huge shift back to the matriarch. So our Central America, South America connections through the ceremonies are taking us back to living in nature, the connection to mother, connection to the feminine. And so working with Julia now, what happens is that I'm realizing how, as a male teacher, the audience or the practitioners are predominantly female now. So there's a huge shift. It was more men back in the 80s. Now there's more women. And so my place, my role is, as a Shiva, is to hold space for Shakti. And so as a ambassador for the yoga and an exemplar as a male teacher, I want to then also share to the collective group on the weekend workshop is that men are supposed to hold the space for women. The women are the holders of the connection to Mother Earth, to the connection to the plant life,
to the source of life.
To the source of life. And so what's happened is that whole patriarchal son man energy that I had, even though there was a certain softness within that, just because of the person I am, it's been actually amplified working with Julia and seeing the way that she says she's not that, what was the word, esoteric, and she's quite grounded. Yes, she's grounded as a woman, but because she is a woman, she's introduced me to Central and South America and all of the ceremonies that we've participated in. And those ceremonies and some of the practices within those ceremonies have connected me to not just this Annamaya kosha, but to my Pranamaya kosha. And so my Pranamaya kosha now is where I'm working. And so when Julia says that it's all sound, everything is sound. And I then hear Guruji saying, with sound, make noise. Ujjayi breathing, with sound, make noise, victorious breath. And so I'm using the sound more in my practice as I'm doing asana as well, because I'm also very quietly counting in Sanskrit verbally. And so there is a sound projection, the prana of the seeds, Sanskrit sound of the number. And then if you carry that into the mantras, it takes you to, it's for me, the quickest way to transcend the ordinary chitta-chatta brain. The moment that we start counting, singing, it's very difficult to focus on anything else other than what you're singing. And so for me, it's opened up a whole new doorway to balance the Shiva Shakti. And so obviously, I've been studying the moon for many years of my practice, and I've always been talking about the balancing of the sun and the moon energies. That's Hatha Yoga. And so really to walk the talk is to really balance that sun and moon energy, that, the sun's in the sky for half the day and the moon's in the sky during the full moon period for half the day. During its dark moon period, it's with the sun all day.
And I would just wanted to say, I think that John always had his feminine energy in the balance, and I think he's just a protector of the structure. This is how I would name it. He's a protector of the count. He's a real holder of that knowledge, how to transmit also that to the students. And at that point, I'm the person who also brings a softness into this world and brings a sound, because this is, let's say, it's hard to, because I don't want to kind of advertise anything, but when you together, the energy is changing because you start to reflect one another. In a sense, you also bring this reflection to people, and then they reflect themselves from that reflection. And I think that the feminine and masculine energies are much more easy to reflect together, you know, when there is also both aspects are present physically.
Also, what Julia's balanced out is in the yoga philosophies and traditions, and there is the Indian deities. There's Durga, there's Kali, but there's also Saraswati. And so when Julia's talking with that sort of knowledge and that sort of wisdom, I hear that coming through the teachings of Sri Saraswati, the mother again. So that the one who holds knowledge in the Indian tradition is Saraswati. And so once again, it's if we want to talk about parampara, we want to go back to the mother. We want to go back to the feminine. We want to be able to see that balance of wisdom. So both Julia and I, when we have our private yoga conversations, it's great because we've got the male-female intelligence coming together in a lovely synergy. And so I'm often sort of like excited and inspired when I'm listening to Julia talk. And so that's very special for me to then also feel that there is a Shiva Shakti. There is not only in the energy and matter, there is a consciousness that's very strong, very subtle, very powerful. This is the beautiful thing about women, is that they embody this earthy quality, but there is then this consciousness.
This connection that people has with nature in South America and Central America, as you said, in comparison to Europe, but you didn't see that in India, that connection to nature as well?
It's a good question, Santiago, but you have the connection. Julia's going to jump in there, but you have the connection that you're Colombian. So I'm sitting here looking at you going, you know, here we're talking about going to Central and South America, but you're Colombian. And so you have that beautiful connection back to that wisdom, that knowledge, that ceremony. For me, India has made the connection to yoga, but within that, the only ceremony I had was the yoga asana with my teacher. I didn't actually get to involved in any other community or communal ceremony.
Yes, this is actually what I also wanted to refer to. In a sense, when you come to India, you're connecting to all the elements and flowers and all the smells that are, you know, you're connecting to all the elements of life when you're just driving. So life and death and cows and dust and everything. And India will be always our home because we spend there some time, and John spent there almost half of his life. But the culture, as Indian culture, is not so open in a term. For example, when my dad died, we did a puja for my dad. And it's maybe a good example because we came and we received the puja, but we felt very foreign there because the celebration was done with us, but we were more like observers of the ceremony, that we were really in it. Because there is some cultural differences and they're so big, and also the language which is used is not English. So language, again, is a vibration, and you can't connect if you can't open that door. So you just observe in the process. In what, for example, John is referring to, that a simple but well-guided cacao ceremony, which is guided through the English, but when even the songs are sang and you can connect with the vibration, your heart is lifting, you feel it. And this is the beauty and the simplicity of the ceremony, that you are invited in a circle to connect and to bring your energy and to voice it also. So in that sense, this is a different thing. You can connect in many ways to in Indian culture because it's incredibly wide and incredibly deep. And John had an experience of learning with Patabi Joyce and just getting so much wisdom from him directly. I had a beautiful opportunity to learn Nadyog in India, in Goa, and connecting to that source. of knowledge. And you carry it inside of you. But in terms of the ceremonial place, I think I feel that South America is very kind and very open to share in that point, which doesn't mean that we don't want to connect to India. We want very much.
Can I add to that? Is that Julia's pointed out the difference in cultures, that the Indian culture within it has everything. And the interesting thing is I've been to more kirtans in South America than I have in India. That Central and South America, although it has an incredible heritage back to Mayan and the Aztecs, even though it has that incredible root, it flowers in a way that draws in the teachings of India and Sufism, whatever, all around the world. So the Central and South America not only have their core, but they also embrace all the others. And that's why at the moment there's quite a migration or a movement of international people to Central and South America.
Because it was the most open.
The most open country. But that shows you the culture is so open. But the poignant thing was that I've sung more mantra in kirtan in Mexico than I have in India. I know it's accessible, but as Julia said, in India, she did manage to find a hard yoga teacher, and we then brought the teacher's teacher to our retreat at Purple Valley Yoga Center, and we actually had Nad Yoga as a morning meditation before we did the practice. So we're embracing it. The Westerners are collectively, culturally borrowing everything to get all of the, we're picking all the beautiful flowers and making a lovely an arrangement. And so that's the beauty that Central and South America has given us, is that it is embracing everything as a unified awakening, a unified consciousness through all the different practices and ceremonies.
And also, I think we're a bit like, we're all children of that earth. And we sometimes forget that we always play, and depending on what life has given us and what direction we're taking, we're exploring that. So in a sense, we're bringing the exploration that is happening now. Probably next time, hopefully, the India are going to open, and they're going to be another dimension that we're going to open for ourselves, and then they would like to bring it to our teachings and our sharings that gonna appear. So it's just a question of the moment, and which we need to understand that we're changing all the time, but certain things are staying very present, as the count, as the asana, as pranayama, and now as a sound.
Beautiful, beautiful, so inspiring. So perhaps more than a workshop is just a gathering ceremony to connect, to reconnect, and to make a connection between all of the participants here.
It's important for people to feel now that they can be free, and that there's a space in which they can be free and they can express themselves. And I think this is what is important for us, that the people who are coming can really connect to themselves and relax. I think it's needed, it's so needed now to feel free inside and to be able to shine your light and to be able to see that the shine is just received on the other side.
And so for me, it's very interesting. I used the word for us to find our own inner sovereignty, to be able to find our own yes. What Julia's reminded me is that our gatherings and our yoga and our ceremony and to play is to take us back to child. Because somewhere in our childhood, our no got taken away from us. To be able to say, no, this is not how I want to be. And so what the yoga and the mantra gives us is a reconnection back to our voice. If we're able to sing, if we're able to really sing the chant, sing the mantra, we're actually doing our yes. we're able to then reclaim our no. It's important to be able to say, no, that's not how I want to live. This is how I want to live.
At the same time, if we're talking about divorce, for some people it's really not easy to open that space and sing. So what I would like to put there, that if there's anyone who has a problem with that, with opening that, first of all, you don't have to sing. It's important for you just to receive the sound. And then if someone wants to open these doors very softly and gently, this is a possibility. But I just want to say, it's not like a sound or music or vocal workshop that we're doing now. But it's important to refer to that. But if there's just someone who has a problem with, like mantra, probably going to be like, I don't know, 20-30% of our presentation, but it's important element of all of it. But it's hard to put into words. It's just a question of experiencing that. But if someone doesn't want to sing, it's important just to stay in the vibration and receive. That can be a big change. And we saw this change. We saw how the heart can melt just because it's ready to open and receive the sound. That's
I'm really looking forward to see you again, to get those insights and be nourished by you, and hope all the people to see you here.
And us too. It's very reciprocal. This is the thing, that it's really time for people to understand that we here to experience the connection between one another. And when there is no connection, there is a missing. So when we have the celebration of meeting, and if we can really be present in that, we can take this moment with us. But if we don't have this opportunity to be together, we kind of are just closed in our own individual bubble. And it's not an easy place now to be for any human.
I think it's a huge realization to realize that you are a teacher. When you make that connection to your body being your first teacher, your breath being your first teacher, your own consciousness, your own awareness, when you then realize that your parents are your next first teachers, then you realize your siblings, your friends are teachers. Your partners are teachers. So when we come to a workshop, for example, we are teachers for one another. And that's what we facilitate. We don't come to be the teacher. We come to facilitate each and every one in the workshop, realizing that they too are teaching. By participating in the workshop, they are collectively nourishing, your word nourishing one another. We nourish one another as teachers to one another. They are reflections. So as we sit here looking at you, Santiago, you're a reflection of us. Yeah, I see myself in you and you see yourself in me. And so there's a reflection that we're able to go, well, I learn from you and you learn from me. So therefore there is an equanimity there. There is just a beautiful synergy. And so that's one of the other messages we really want to put to the weekend workshop, is that we are all teachers for one another.
Yes, there are many lights you've been initiating, and I remember the second time I met you and I wanted to follow you, and you say, hey, let's make a relationship. Let's have a relationship. That's the way you put it.
And so Santiago, I have to also share to you that while I'm sitting here with Julia and talking with you, I'm also taking in your shala. Are we teaching sharing in the shala? Because sitting behind you is a beautiful gong. And so what I want to share is that what I value most of all in terms of my yoga journey is remembering and reminding myself I'm a child. And so my inner child wants to jump through the screen and play that gong.
All right. So it's around. We do it here. I mean, I just thought that we get so much people that we cannot fit all the people here. But the first impression is to be here. Yeah. I'll take the gong whenever we go.
Perfect.
Thank you for that.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for
Santi.
this meeting.
Yes.
And we're going to meet quite soon.
Yeah, very soon, June 10th, 11th, and 12th, and looking for seeing you here and embrace you and give you and receive love from you. Thank you, John. Thank you, Julia.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.